Hi, I'm Tim Snider with Fess Parker Winery. I'm here with our head winemaker, Blair Fox. We're in the barrel room today, and we're going to take you through a quick tasting of our white wines, a nice cross-section of our portfolio. The first wine we want to taste today is our Santa Barbara County Chardonnay. This is our most popular Chardonnay, one of our best-selling wines in the portfolio, and a wine that we really enjoy. And Blair, maybe tell us a little bit about this one.
Sure, thanks, Tim. This wine basically comes from all over Santa Barbara County. We actually grow about 50% of this wine on the vineyard here at Rodney's, and it adds kind of a tropical nuance, I think, to the total blend. We also source from the Santa Maria Valley. I think you get kind of a lemon cream quality with the Chardonnay out of the Santa Maria Valley, and then we also source from Los Alamos. That has more of a green apple, I think, kind of Chardonnay character. And then the Santa Rita Hills, which adds some minerality, some pear, some freshness to the wine.
So this wine has a little bit of production behind it, but really the wine making is very similar to a lot of the small lots. We kind of do a lot of small lot winemaking, just on a larger scale.
Yeah, this is 100% barrel fermented. We also do batonnage, so that's stirring of the lees, at least once a month on this wine as well. So it really has old world techniques associated with the winemaking. Everything's whole cluster pressed. We do press cuts on it as well, so it really retains that fresh, lively, acid-driven quality of the Santa Barbara County Chardonnay. Yeah,
I think you guys have done a wonderful job of striking balance in that wine. That's what I really like about it. It retains that freshness and lift, even though it has some good fruit and some good texture. And while we love this wine, we step it up a little bit when we start to move to our single vineyard Chardonnays. And this, of course, is a flagship wine from us, Ashley's Chardonnay. This comes from a vineyard that Eli and Fess planted back in the late 90s in the Santa Rita Hills. And talk about this wine in the vineyard, if you would.
It's such a beautiful site out there. It's just, there's tons of marine influence, a lot of fog throughout the day, very, very, very cool temperatures. And then the Chardonnay is planted in basically beach sand. Ancient seabed, and I think you pick that up in this wine. It has this tremendous minerality and this saline quality to it, but it still has some density, some richness from the barrel fermentation and the batonnage that is associated with it. It's also aged, it's 100% barrel fermented and then aged in about 40% new French oak as well.
One of the things I love about this wine is that the oak is really integrated. This wine, the fruit concentration really soaks up the oak exceptionally well. To me, it kind of has almost an old world note in the sense of soaking up that oak and having that minerality and having that freshness. I think what you guys are doing with this wine is just really fantastic right now.
This is a special vineyard and just a real special place in the Santa Rita Hills.
Excellent. We're going to move into the Rhône set. And with our Viognier program, this was really one of the first wines that Fess Parker put out that was hitting the radar with a lot of the sommeliers around the country. And what we've been able to do in the last several years is refine our fruit sourcing even further so that we get to the point where now this is a single vineyard, Rodney's Vineyard, Viognier. Rodney's Vineyard being the home ranch here at Fess Parker. And these are now some mature vines and really a lovely expression.
Yeah, so planted in the mid-90s, very early. At the time, I think this was the largest planting of Viognier in the country, which is crazy, and it was just over 10 acres, I believe. So, but since that time, I think we've really dialed in the kind of style of this wine. I think there's a lot of California Viognier out there that's kind of heavy and oily and sweet, and this one really is fresh and bright, has great natural acidity, but it still strikes those real pleasant Viognier characteristics of honeydew melon and like white flowers, a jasmine, and a really pretty like floral element. This as well is barrel fermented, and I do prevent malolactic fermentation on this, so it retains more of that malic acid, it retains that kind of Granny Smith green apple quality, so it keeps it again fresh and bright. but it does have some richness in the palate from the barrel fermentation. We use a tiny little bit of new oak on this, but it's new oak that really doesn't have a lot of impact, so it doesn't have any smokiness. It's more about textural impact and mouthfeel.
For my money, I think that this is a huge step forward in the progress of our Viognier program as well. Really isolating on the Rodney's Vineyard, to me, has brought out the best of the Viognier that we can produce here in Santa Barbara County. And I think that it's taken us, like you say, into that, accentuating more of the freshness of the wine while still having the floral characters and everything. It's just, it's exciting to see the direction that this program's going in. And then in sticking with the Rhône set, we have a white Rhône blend named Marcella's in honor of the matriarch of the family, Marcy Parker, Fess's wife. Marcy loved Viognier. Marcy loved white Rhônes, and she was quite a character. We miss her, and a little toast to Marcy. But maybe tell us a little bit about kind of how you put this together, the composition of the wine, and what we're trying to achieve here.
This is typically a Grenache Blanc and Viognier dominated wine, but we do put a little bit of Roussanne, a little bit of Marsanne in there. So it's really a true white Rhône varietal based wine. All of the Grenache Blanc, all of the Viognier, all of the Marsanne is all grown here on the estate vineyard as well, Rodney's Vineyard. We do outsource a little bit of Roussanne from our Camp 4 vineyard for this wine. I think, the Grenache Blanc, again, adds a lot of really great acidity and freshness. And then, Viognier adds that floral lift impact. And then Roussanne and Marsanne will add kind of a textural honey to this wine. But it is, again, a very fresh, bright white wine. And I think it's a great pairing with a lot of, shellfish and seafood and things like that.
Yeah, spring and summer are right around the corner, and this is a great wine for the lighter cuisine and to, frankly, just enjoy on the patio or the deck or the poolside. Just a really enjoyable wine all the way around. The last wine that we want to share with you today is really probably the oldest ambassador for Fess Parker Winery. It's our Santa Barbara County Riesling. For over 30 years now, Santa Barbara Riesling has been a mainstay of our program. It's been a wine that our consumers, our wine club members, and customers around the country have enjoyed. And I really think that stylistically, we've been able to make some great strides in the last 5-6 vintages. Really like what we're doing here. Of course, one of the backbones of this wine is the very first block of vineyard planted by the Parker family back in 1989. So we do have some own-rooted older vineyard sourcing going into this. We may talk a little bit, if you would, about the winemaking, kind of the approach and how we changed our approach, and I think definitely for the better.
Yeah, so like you were saying, Tim, I mean, this is all from Rodney's Vineyard here and then Camp 4 as well. So 2 vineyards that were planted by Fess and Eli. And basically in terms of style of this wine, I'm picking this wine at very, very low sugar. So typically around 19-20 bricks is where I start. And then I'm finishing, around 22, 23 max, I would say. So with that, with the lower sugars, you have this high natural acidity, low pH. And then we're naturally arresting this wine during its fermentation. So we leave a little bit of residual sugar. It's usually just under 2% residual sugar. So there is a little bit of sweetness to balance that high acidity, and I think it creates a really nicely balanced, fresh, bright Riesling. You'll even pick up, some of those little petrol characters in this wine, which I think is really natural to this variety. Yeah, we've been told by some of our European importers that it has a little bit of that old world kind of Mosel type of character with those petrol-y notes, which we took as quite a compliment, of course. And I think that all these wines really showcase what Santa Barbara is all about, where we can get good fruit development, good flavor development, but still have that bright acidity and that freshness and the balance in all of these wines. So thank you very much for joining us on a tasting of our white wine portfolio. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope to see you down the road somewhere. Cheers.